Jimbo Fisher and Jon Gruden both just announced that they want to return to coaching in the college ranks. Both announcements were strategically timed. We will tell you how and why and whether they might end up in the Big Ten and where. Locked on Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. And I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that free subscribe button down below. That way you'll never miss a single episode. Plus, it helps us a lot, as does sharing, liking, and following as well. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. So, Jimbo and Gruden, maybe in the Big Ten. We got some recruiting news. We got the AP Top 25 poll out. It's different than the coaches poll regarding our teams at the top of the Big Ten. And we got some more Feinbaum hate. Oh, we love that. And Tuesday tweets. Hang around for that. But before I jump in on this Gruden Jimbo thing, I've never done this before. I'm going to spend about 15 seconds right now talking about yesterday's Locked On podcast here on Locked On Big Ten, where we talked about the Miami Hurricanes wanting to jump into the Big Ten when expansion and realignment rolls around again. Your response was overwhelming, both in viewership and your comments as well. Most of them were pretty well thought out. There's always a few wise guys in there, but they were pretty good. And if you missed it, I'm inviting you to go back after this and go catch it for a second listen. Check it out on our YouTube channel or our website, Talk Big Ten, number 10, talkbig10.com, or on Spotify or Apple or wherever you get your podcasts, okay? All right, now, former Super Bowl winning coach Jon Gruden and former Florida State national champion of Texas A&M coach Jimbo Fisher, they both let it be known this weekend that they're ready to jump back on the sidelines and coach college football. Now, make no mistake about it, both coaches, they timed their comments perfectly and strategically this weekend in order to improve their chances of landing lucrative jobs at the end of the season. Both are planting the seeds here in the minds of athletic directors and fan bases during these last few precious weeks where it's still kind of quiet right before the start of the season. So they plant the seed, they move on. Everybody's all excited about the start of the season. That way, if things start to get sideways for any particular coach or any particular team along the way during the 2025 season, all of a sudden people will start, hey, remember, we don't like our guy as much anymore. Jimbo Fisher's available. Oh, we don't like our guy as much anymore. Hey, Jon Gruden wants to get back in the game and in college, not NFL. What do we think about that? Let's get the talk going. All right. Their names will be top of mind for some headline grabbing coaching hires, getting ready for the 2026 season if it all works out for them. My question is, will one or both of these guys end up at a Big Ten school? And which school at that? Now that's a little tricky because nobody's been fired, and we don't on this podcast, we don't call for anybody to be fired. We speculate whether the seat might be hot here and there, but we won't call for anybody to be fired. We want everybody to be successful. But let's start with Jimbo Fisher, because I think he has a better chance of landing a gig for next season. You know, as an assistant at Florida State, remember, he was named the coach in waiting once upon a time while legendary coach Bobby Bowden was deciding when and if and how to step down and retire. The problem was that Bowden didn't ever really want to step down. So they finally had to force him out. Back in 2009, Jimbo took over 2010, won a national championship in 2013. But his relationship with the administration and Florida State's, talking about Florida State's facilities, it didn't keep up pace with other schools, and they decided to go their own separate ways. Plus, Jimbo's best buddy suddenly became the athletic director over there at A&M, and he followed him over there and got a staggering 10-year, $75 million deal. It was earth-shaking at the time. So, long story short, he didn't win enough games there. Although I will argue he went 45-25 in 6 years. But he was fired in 2023 and walked away with a nice buyout of $77 million. Here, Here's $77 million. Go away. Bye-bye. Wow. And anyway, since then, he hasn't been coaching. And now he's getting bored. He's still pretty young. He's 59 years old. Got a lot of money in his pockets. Can do whatever he wants. He says he's healthy. He's ready to coach again. He reminded everybody of his resume that he won 72% of his games while he was a coach. In the meantime, he just took an analyst gig with the ACC network to keep his name out there and relevant. And look, he definitely has the resume and the background with some big-time marquee schools. So could he coach in the Big Ten if an opening popped up next year? Look, at first glance, I think he might be looking at a school like West Virginia, not in the Big Ten. It's where he's from. And in the Big Ten, we all talk about it. It's out there. If things don't go well, like really well in Southern California with USC and Lincoln Riley, is a change coming there. If they go 7-5, people aren't going to be happy. It's a big time school. It's going to be looking for a splash and a big time hire. That's the only reason I mentioned that. Look, I hope Lincoln has great success. I hope he gets to coach the number 1 rated, I think now number 2 rated class of 2026 class that he's got coming in eventually. So for the record, we're rooting for Lincoln Riley to keep that job and have success. But USC, or a school like USC, and Jimbo's resume, they match with winning traditions, big time schools. Maybe Jimbo's a little folksy for Los Angeles, but then again, they put up with Ed Ogeron for a while as a interim head coach back in the day. I'll mumble under my breath. What about Michigan? If the NCAA goes crazy on Sharon Moore here in the next couple of days or weeks or whatever they're doing with Spygate. For the record, we here think that Sharon Moore will be at Michigan for a long time. Things are trending upward over there. So you may agree or disagree with me on that. So Jimbo, let's park him for a minute. Let's talk about Jon Gruden, who is dying to get back into coaching. Look, he was with the Raiders, had the 10-year, $100 million deal. Then somebody in the NFL front office did him dirty, leaked some of his emails, which happened to have homophobic and racial comments in there, and it ended his career on the spot in 2021. But he said recently he's dying to coach again. He's going around to camps. I saw him. He was recently at a Detroit Lions camp out there watching. He was a consultant for the Saints in 2023. He said he would love to coach in the SEC. Love it. That's not the Big Ten, but I don't know if any SEC schools would hire him. I don't know if any Big Ten schools would hire him, but his roots are in the Midwest. He was born in Ohio. He played at Dayton. He's often talked about his dream of coaching schools like Notre Dame or Tennessee. His name comes up once in a while. Back in the day, it did anyway. But I think his recent comments suggest that Gruden has come to grips with the fact that he will never coach in the NFL again. So he's putting out feelers to colleges with his latest comments that he wants to coach. Look, anybody who hires him would have to explain the derogatory emails to fans, to alum, to kids and their families whose living rooms he's going to sit in and have to explain stuff. Perhaps his passion for the game will overcome all that. He certainly has that. But at the moment, I can't think of a Big Ten school that would hire him. So I don't know that he will come into the Big Ten, let alone get back into coaching or college football coaching, if that's what he wants to do, if the NFL is not a path for him anymore. I mean, would a school like Wisconsin ever want to replace, Luke Fickell, who continues to struggle with quarterbacks? I don't think so, but boy, Gruden does love himself a good quarterback, right? So I don't, would the Maryland job entice him? I don't know how things are going to go for Mike Locksley over there. They're still trying to ramp up their name, image, and likeness, or the revenue share, get it up to par. I don't know if that'd be an attractive enough job to take. It probably would be. I mean, who's he going to say no to? He really wants to get back into coaching. So I don't know. It's out there. We'll see what happens. I don't know what kind of options he's going to have. And, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. We still have a full season. We still have head coaching jobs that are filled with actual coaches right now. As of today, no openings. But that's not stopping Jimbo Fisher and Jon Gruden from letting the college football world know that they are available for hire. Whispering that out there. That's what they're doing. That's what they're doing right here. Hey, would love for you to hit that subscribe button right now. That way you'll never miss a single episode of Locked On Big Ten. Share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten. That helps us out as well. Don't forget, you can go to our website, talkbig10.com, number 10. All of our podcasts go there. Plus, we have links where you can buy some Big Ten school merchandise. Get yourself some school spirit ready to go to start the season. It's right around the corner. You're going to end up doing that. All right. I have a lot I want to talk to you about here. First of all, injury update. Nebraska having to get creative at running back. Luke Fickell is now looking for a backup quarterback. What's the situation there? There's some real Oregon versus USC hatred. Latest recruiting news. And the AP Top 25 is out. It's different from the coaches poll. Ohio State's not number 2. We're going to talk about that. We'll have that in our, we'll talk about it next segment, but we'll also talk about it in our Tuesday tweets. You want to hang around for all that coming up here in 1 minute on Locked On Big Ten. We've all been there, right? We've all been the person in our group in charge of getting tickets. And, maybe if you want to go to a summer concert, you know how it is. Tickets go on sale at noon Eastern, boom. And if you're not in there by 12:05, you're out. That's why you need the Game Time app. Game Time, whether it be tickets for games, concerts. If it needs a ticket, Game Time is your source. Download it into your phone or device right now. You'll be good to go. Instead, you can stop worried about tickets. You can go make some memories with all of your friends. Game Time makes getting concert tickets easier and faster than ever. Prices actually drop the closer it gets to showtime. You can save up to 60% with their killer last-minute deals. And so if you're tired of scrolling, looking for the best deal, Game Time's zone deals to pick the best seats in your section for you. Plus, they give you the panoramic view from the seat of the ticket you're about to buy. So, all right, no obstruction. We're good. Before it takes all the worry out of all that stuff with Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Thanks for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there. Thank you. Meanwhile, be sure to hit that free subscribe button down below. Share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And check out our website, talkbig10.com. Podcasts and Big Ten merch right there for you. All right, Nebraska. They're getting a little creative at running back. Why? Well, they have to. They're a little thin there. It's been a concern going into the year. Quentin Ives suffered a minor injury on the first day of camp, and so they're looking around to everybody. And they've been looking at linebacker now / running back, Vincent Genatone. It's a pretty unique player if you're not familiar with him. In his senior year in high school, he made 136 tackles. He won the 220-pound Class A state wrestling title. Oh, and he's fast. He runs a 10.500 and has been clocked at Huskers camp at top speed of 22.5 miles an hour. The guy can fly. So since transferring before last season from Montana, he has largely been a special teams player. But Matt Rule has suggested he may use him on short down or goal line situations this season. So keep an eye on that. It's going to be kind of a tank, just kind of powering through right there. All right, time and time again, we talk about on this podcast how important it is for Luke Fickell at Wisconsin to get his quarterback spot right after numerous failures in his first 2 years there in Madison, Wisconsin. Maryland transfer Billy Edwards Jr. is going to be QB1 this year. What about a backup? Nobody is pushing Billy Edwards. So it looks like it's going to be Billy Edwards. As far as the backups go, there's Danny O'Neill, the transfer from San Diego. He's getting pushed by Hunter Simmons, who transferred from Southern Illinois. Fickell says he hasn't had enough from either to name a backup, and neither has challenged Edwards for QB1 at this point, which I think is probably a little disappointing for Fickell, but it is what it is at this point. O'Neill started every game for the Aztecs last year as a true freshman, threw 12 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Simmons Only played 5 games last year before getting hurt. In those games, he threw 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. We talk a lot about recruiting here on this podcast. Michigan freshman corner Shamari Earls. He's ready to contribute to the Michigan defense right away. He's going to wear Hall of Famer Charles Woodson's iconic number 2 jersey number. He said initially he committed to Georgia. And for reasons he said, I'll be honest, I was kind of lazy. But Michigan kept after him. And he says that Michigan was very honest with him, which stood out from other coaching staffs while he was being recruited. And he saw that Michigan needed a corner. So he said the Michigan staff has delivered on everything it's promised. And they kept re-recruiting him. And he insinuated that other coaches elsewhere have not been as honest. Made me think of Kirby. I don't know. He was committed to Georgia until he wasn't. Just throwing that out there. Oregon Ducks 5-star defensive tackle recruit Emmanuel Iheanacho. He was a July commit for Dan Lanning. He's still taking his visits during the fall. That sounds like he's just going to have a little bit of fun here. I don't think he's in danger of being flipped. He says he plans on watching the USC Trojans lose. When he comes to Eugene to watch USC versus Oregon, November 22nd. The Trojans didn't even make the kid's final cut, but Penn State did. Auburn and LSU were in play. He's from Baltimore, so he's coming across the country. But even though he's from the East Coast, he seems to have that West Coast rivalry thing down, saying, hey, I'm watching USC lose to Oregon. For the record, the other games he's going to be visiting: Florida versus LSU in Baton Rouge. That's September 13th. And then Oregon versus Penn State. Big one on September 27th. I would go to those as well as a fan. Get my tickets from Game Time and go, right? Finally, if you check out this podcast on any regular basis whatsoever, by the way, thank you. You know that we like to have fun at the expense of Big Ten hater Paul Feinbaum. And Paul Feinbaum's lost his mind. He always rips the Big Ten. You know he loves his SEC. But he's had to endure back-to-back Big Ten national championships, and it really bothers him. And it's really hard for him to take. And now he says he will leave the country if the Big Ten makes it a three-peat this year. First it was Michigan, then it was Ohio State. What it will be this year? Penn State, Oregon, Ohio State again. Feinbaum says he is sick and tired of being harassed by Big Ten fans on his show. Keep it up, Big Ten fans. This is fun. By the way, do you know what he calls you and me? He calls us Big Teners. He calls us Little Teners. That's what his crowd, his gang, his callers, whatever they are. Little Teners. Not Big Teners. Little Teners. That's what he calls us. That's cute. Hey, maybe they all leave the country when we win a three-peat. And the 2025 preseason coaches poll, it debuted a couple of weeks ago. It had Texas 1, Ohio State 2. So it looks, we're going to have a 1 versus 2 matchup when the season opens at Ohio State between those two. But the AP poll just came out, and it looks a little different. Texas is still number 1, but Penn State has jumped over Ohio State. Penn State is number 2, Ohio State 3, Clemson and Georgia rounding out the top 5. Oregon is 7th behind Notre Dame. Illinois comes in at number 12, Michigan 14, and Indiana rounds out the top 20. We'll take a closer look at it. Got a nice lockdown graphic for you. It's part of our Tuesday tweets. You guys are in mid-season form out there with our Tuesday tweets, which obviously we do every Tuesday. That's coming up next right here on Locked On Big Ten. All right, it's time for our Tuesday tweets. We always have a feature at the end of our program. Top 10 Big Ten observations on Mondays, Tuesday tweets. Wednesdays, tomorrow, we'll power rank stuff. We love that. Thursdays, we look at the Big Ten Network, and we pull out the Big Ten Classics on their scheduled slate over the weekend. And then we always make some kind of picks or odds segment. Pigskin picks once the season gets going. We're looking forward to that coming up on Fridays. We'll have something for you Friday this week as well. But let's take a look at some of the tweets out there. And as promised just a moment ago, I'm going to add this. If it's full screen. If you're audio only, I'll describe it. Here is the preseason top 25 poll, AP top 25. But our great graphics team did it with all the Locked On shows logos instead of the Penn State at number 2. We got the Locked On Nittany Lions logo, for example. So here you go. Longhorns, Texas number 1, and Penn State number 2, Buckeyes 3, Clemson and Georgia rounding out the top 5. There you see the Ducks sitting at number 7, ahead of Alabama, LSU, and the Hurricanes. We talked a lot about the Hurricanes yesterday on our podcast. The Fighting Illini, Brett Bielema, a nice high number 12. I like that. Wolverines sitting at 14. Got the Hoosiers at number 20. So six Big Ten teams in the top 25. Actually, the top 20. 6 of the top 20 when you really break it down. All right, let's continue. Now, I wanted to throw this in here. This is from Dave Portnoy, who, as you know, will be part of Big Noon on Fox and their coverage, and he's a Michigan fan. He listed the poll here, too, and he says, how many years in a row does Michigan have to drub Ohio and Bama before we're ranked ahead of them? I thought it was pretty funny. Get used to him. Get used to Dave Portnoy, everybody. All right, here it is, kind of broken down. Simply put, Big Ten football put this out, the AP football poll, but it just has just the Big Ten teams, all 6 of them, nicely grouped. Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, Illinois, Michigan, and Indiana. Very nice. Here we go. This is from at Barstool Big Ten. Says we are so close, and then it's got the 30-second Big Ten commercial that we love so much from the Big Ten Network as they fly across the country. Yeah, we're so close to this. We're so close to the start of football season. You can feel it. You can taste it. It is right around the corner. This one, we haven't had Swanky in a couple of weeks. At Swanky Wolverine, he said, this is how I'm always going to see J.J. McCarthy. And it's got a picture of him, half of a Vikings uniform, a Minnesota Vikings uniform, and half of a Michigan Wolverines uniform. I think there's some truth to that. I think whenever you see him in a Minnesota Vikings uniform, you think of Michigan. J.J. McCarthy is all Michigan. Now, for Michigan, Ohio State, this is from Justin Spiro. This is impressive. It's a black and white picture of Urban Meyer next to Ryan Day. It says Urban Meyer and Ryan Day having a combined record of 100 wins and 6 losses in the Big Ten. Breaking it down, Urban Meyer was 54-4 in the Big Ten, and Ryan Day 46-2. And now, starting to wonder if that's an error by them, Justin, because I know Ryan Day's lost 3 to a certain team from up north. So that's not factual. It's close, but not no cigar. This is from at Folsom Frenzy. It is a picture of Dylan Gabriel, former Oregon Ducks quarterback, and he's wearing his Browns uniform, and it says, when you find out, and he's got a look of dismay on his face, when you find out there's no transfer portal in the NFL. Kind of funny, but kind of sad at the same time, because, well, he's not doing well, I guess, in the depth chart there. Shedeur Sanders has passed him by, and usually when somebody passes you on the depth chart, you hit the transfer portal in college and go elsewhere. He also used the transfer portal to go to Oregon in the first place. Here is at MSU, Chief of Propaganda, low ego, high output, Jonathan Smith talking to his quarterback Aiden Childs at Spartans practice, ready to go. Then here we have from at PSU, poor man. Is it ready? This is a picture outside of the bleachers on the west side at Beaver Stadium. And they're erecting. You remember, they tore down the press box and all that. They got a $700 million operation going on there, fixing it up. It's going to take a couple of years. So these are the temporary west side bleachers from the outside of the stadium, looking at the stadium at Penn State's Beaver Stadium, 3 weeks before the Nittany Lions season opener, August 30th versus Nevada. So, and it's a video. You can play it. Kind of does a little swooping around. But yeah, the temporary structures are in place, because even though they're took out a large section of seats and all that. They're not giving up seats. They got to get over 100,000 there at all costs. Here is at Analyst for Sports. It is a picture of Caleb Johnson, former Iowa Hawkeye, now donning the black and gold of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And look at that, who he's running by in his NFL debut. Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter. And he's got his hand on his head, and it says Caleb Johnson dribbled Travis Hunter's head on the ground. Staying with the Steelers, another Big Ten player. We got Jack Sawyer, former Buckeye, now a Steeler. A little video walk by for him as well. That's from at Ohio State football. Very proud of him being out there. Speaking of proud Buckeyes, I could have led with this. This is at the Buckeye Nut. It is a video of Travion Henderson's NFL debut. He went coast to coast, 100 yards, took it to the house. The opening kickoff in the Commanders-Patriots game this past weekend. So I decided to share that with you as well. That was a big deal. That made our top 10 Big Ten observations of the weekend on yesterday's podcast. If you can go back and check it out. Here's from at Michigan State country. Your daily reminder that the last 10 matchups, Michigan State is 9-1 versus Michigan at home. Got Dusty May and Tom Izzo in the picture side by side. Let the rivalries continue. Speaking of rivalries, this is at Sleepers Media, and it is a grid of the top 5 college basketball rivalries across multiple sources. He says these were the consensus top 5 college basketball rivalries. And he says, do these hold up? Should they be changed? This is a fun little. So he's got Duke and North Carolina at number 1 with their logos. Kentucky, Louisville, number 2. Purdue, Indiana from the Big Ten at number 3, followed by Michigan and Ohio and Michigan State at number 4. Alabama and Auburn in hoops, football and hoops. A lot of these schools, football and hoops, right? But yeah, I don't have a problem with this list. I went to Indiana, so Indiana Purdue is huge for me. But nevertheless, thought I'd throw that in there. Basketball season will be here before you know it. Let me know what you think about all of this, and hit me on Twitter or X at Talk Big Ten, and I will put your tweet out there on next Tuesday's show. It's that simple. Just do it. All right. Very good. Thank you for checking us out here today. That time flew. As always, all 18 teams, Big Ten, video and audio, news, analysis of that news, opinion of that news. Right here. It makes us the most unique Big Ten podcast in the world. Thanks for being part of it. Go ahead and hit that free subscribe button down below, and let's keep that rolling as well so you never miss a single episode. We also ask you to follow and like and share. Speaking of sharing, if you're a Big Ten fan, I know you know other Big Ten people, family members, former roommates in college, whatever. They might not know we're out here every day. Spread the word. Let them know we're out here. Big Ten every single day. Invite you to go back and check out a second listen. Yesterday, we talked about how Miami would fit in the Big Ten with realignment and expansion. Got a lot of reaction from you. Also invite you to check out the Portal Show with Brian Smith, part of the Lockdown family, for a second listen as well. If you want to check that as well, you can find the Portal Show on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. That will do it for us already. I can't wait till we meet again tomorrow. Thanks for joining us. I'm Craig Sheeman for Lockdown Big Ten.